Hello again. So, we ended up at Kathmandu in my friend's hostel after the preparation day for the rafting. So I guess now I talk about the rafting. Yay! I woke up at 6:30, like I said. Had some breakfast. I had some leftovers from lunch from the day before. I had a sandwich and I only ate one of two sandwiches. So I had some breakfast, which is good because I don't really function well without breakfast. I guess I mentioned this before. And then I was earlier done with preparing myself as that I planned. Oh my god, this part I should mention. I put on my bra, of course. My bikini, I mean, of course, because we were gonna go in the water, so I thought it was the clever thing to do. And I put it on, and I noticed something like pinching when I put it on, and I looked down in the cup of my bikini top. There was like a family of ants, but like really, really a lot of them, and they were starting to bite me. So, of course, I threw this thing off and started hitting on it, but these ants, before I had them in my suitcase also, and I thought I killed most of them, but yeah, of course, they were between clothes and everything, so I have no idea how many there were left or something. But apparently they reproduced in the plastic bag where my formerly wet bikini was in, you know. It was a little bit moist when I packed it, so I put it in a plastic bag, and apparently those little creatures loved it and reproduced or something. It was crazy. So I spent some time cleaning the bikini top out before I could put it on again, and made sure, like, in every little stitch and every little bend of the model there was no more ant to be found. Which was successful. Some were still crawling around on my arms and my legs and everything afterwards, so I had some fun killing those off. But oh my god, that was weird. I freaked out a little bit. I did not scream though. I was sharing the room and I woke up nobody, so yeah. So that happened. Then I was done early, so I had some waiting time. I don't remember what I did, maybe some cell phone stuff or something. We watched out of the window a few times because Saroj wasn't gonna call me since he has a Nepali number and I have a German number. And he usually doesn't use mobile data when on the way. Yeah, so I checked every once in a while, didn't see him, and then just went down at the agreed upon hour. So at 7:30 I went down, and I asked him how long he was waiting there, because he was already standing there. Apparently he was there for 5 minutes, but I couldn't see it through the window, so well, no biggie. I was in time. We left with the moped. Sorry, I'm still sick, as you can notice. We left with the moped. I drove actually from the start. Yeah, I rode towards the gas station where we, of course, filled up with gas. It was a little bit of a traffic jam there because apparently because of the strikes before, there was no gasoline for the last 2 days or something. There was 1 day of strikes. I think the day I was in Bhaktapur or something. So that was busy at that time of day, 7:30 at the gas station. And of course I had some consequences there, because after my moped was filled up, some idiot bumped his moped against my leg, of course with the burning hot pipe. So I had a little burn of maybe €1 coin size. And then we left. We met up with Saroj's best friend and his cousin, who was also joining us for the rafting. We were 4 people in total. They shared a moped and we shared a moped. And then we started. We drove. It was apparently 75 kilometers. I had no idea, so I just knew, like, by car it would have been maybe 2.5 hours or something. Apparently that corresponds to a distance of 75 kilometers. And we had actually fun driving there. We had breakfast on the way. apparently there was time. It felt like it was like a spontaneous trip, you know. It felt like a little bit unplanned, and they felt hungry, so we had a breakfast break. I had some egg. I had what else? Like some sort of beans, lentils. I don't know, in a spicy sauce baked. They were not too spicy. I could actually eat some of them. I had a hard-boiled egg, and I had this donut thing. I forgot the name of it, but I had it on my first day of the mountain biking tour as well. It's not like a donut. It's a little bit more crispy. It's baked in oil, and it's like big and round. Well, the hole is way bigger. In a donut, it's like a little bit more soft and with a teeny tiny hole. This one is like more hole than material, than food. But yeah, maybe like a plate size or something. And yeah, that's what we had, with some masala tea, of course. And then we continued the road. And apparently the place where the rafting started was the same place as where we had lunch someday. I don't remember which day, but there was this day that I was having food there with Sarosh on the way, when we were in the Jeep. It must have been relatively early, I guess, if it's only 75 kilometers outside of Kathmandu. And there were butterflies then, and I was really enjoying the butterflies because they were these big ones and they were dancing with each other, you know. It was a couple of butterflies. And my friend told me once that, in the desert, I went to the desert a few months ago, and at a certain point I was more or less meditating in the sun, and there was this butterfly that landed on my head there. And when I told this to my friend, it was shortly after, well, it was, no, not shortly, but it was still in the process of going through the process of accepting my father passed away. And she told me apparently butterfly symbolizes people that passed away. So ever since I have a little bit of an extra affection towards butterflies. So these guys also fascinated me. And that was the same place actually where I had the spicy, I like that food though. I don't remember what the name is, but it was triangular, looked a little bit like a pancake, but a little bit thicker, and there was stuffing. It was maybe like half a centimeter. It was not that thick or anything, and there was stuffing. And the first one I had was very, very, very tasty. It's made of potatoes, and the second one was way too spicy. It was one of the most spicy bites I had in the entire trip from Nepal. But that was the first time I was there. So now we were at the same place, this big roadside restaurant. A little bit further, there was this little dirt road down where the rafts were being built up. And when we arrived there was shortly after the group arrived that we traveled along with. There were 3 rafts in total, and then the 2 material rafts accompanied us as well. But the 3 rafts with people, 2 of them were filled up with this group, and they joined shortly after we did. So apparently we were perfectly in time. So that's when it started. Most of them were Brits or Australians or like English-speaking folks. And I chatted a little bit with them, but not so much in the beginning. Then we had an explanation. We had a life jacket, we had a helmet, we had a paddle, and then we had an explanation of how to behave, what we should do, which commands we should follow, stuff like that. And then we went. There was 1 raft for me and the guys, so we were 5 people in that raft, the 4 of us and our, captain, let's call it captain. And then the 2 other rafts were with the people from the group. It was actually quite fun. It was not so wild actually. I expected it worse. There were a few like rough patches, but mostly it was like just floating a little bit on the waves. and then the more wilder parts, then of course you had to steer a little bit and had to paddle a little bit and have to be in control of the water. And the waves looked very big, and I guess if you're in them, they are very big. But those rafts are like gigantic rubber boats. They have a very big side, so they don't really get all that much affected by the bigger waves. The one thing that was scary, that was after lunch. I'll just go chronologically. Yeah, so up till we had one break. Did we have one break? Did we have a break? We might have had one break, a short break. Oh yeah, we had one short break where we went to land, and the kayaks that also accompanied us to like monitor us or to rescue people that fall off or something. They scouted out the next part, if it was manageable, if it was not too dangerous for us or something. That took like a few minutes, and then we continued our trip. And it was not that bad. That was a relatively easy patch. That was the first wilder one, you know. Yeah, so the first part was a little bit around an hour, I guess, before arriving at the lunch spot, where we put the rafts land and then walked a few minutes through the fields to a roadside restaurant again, where we were spoiled with very good food. It was like a buffet, more or less. They just put some pots of all kind of food. Dal bhat was there, amongst others. There were some spicy air mixtures. There was rice, there were French fries. There were raw veggies. I've always learned not to eat raw veggies in countries from different cultures because of the washing and the potential, you know, infections. But I did it for 3 weeks. I ate it, I think, daily, and I did not get sick at all. I got sick in the plane. Not when I was there, in the plane back, I mean. So I arrived sick back in Europe, not because of the food there. I was perfectly fine all of the trip. Just as a tip for travelers, don't be so afraid. Trust your body. Yeah, so we had that, and then after chilling a little bit, using the restrooms, we continued. We made this joke before lunch about people jumping in the water to pee, and after lunch, my bladder, of course, is typical. Yeah, problems. I have had this problem all my life, I guess. I have a very sensitive bladder, and this particular day I had this problem, so I had to jump in the water. A little bit after. It was fun, actually. The water was not that cold. Usually I'm very sensitive, but this was actually quite okay. So I floated for a while, but then there was a rougher patch coming up, and I did not really feel like going through that in the life jacket, so I had myself being pulled up in the boat again. And the rest of the road we continued. There was one other break, which was cool, where there was a little, not even river, a little, how do you call this in English? A little stream coming from the mountains that joined the bigger river. It was clear water, and it was warmer because, of course, the water was like maybe 30 centimeters deep instead of, I don't know what it was in the river. So everybody got out of the rafts and just laid in the water for a while and enjoyed the flow of clear, warm water. And that's where I talked a little bit with the people from the other group. Played around a bit with the boys of my group, of course, as well, like with the flow, because the flow was pretty heavy even for such a low water river. It was really powerful. And then I float off, and then at a certain point I was holding Sarosh at his life jacket. Yeah, like I was hooked behind a stone, and then I held him so he wouldn't float off. And at a certain point I just felt like letting him go, and hey, there he went. Funny things like that, you know. then people starting splashing me. I was singled out that day. They splashed me all that day more than all the others. It was funny. I don't have a problem with it. But it turned into a game. Like in the afternoon, every time you got close to another boat, we started splashing each other and then teasing each other. In the I think I started it even, because this guy who gave us the explanation in the morning, he accidentally splattered me. Like he did something with the paddle and was like, whoops, and it was all over me. So the first time when we were on the way and we were closer to his boat, I was like, now I'm gonna get you, and I started splashing. And ever after, the people started splashing me for some reason. This other ship, two of the front guys, they kept on splashing me as much as they could, you know. And then there was this little, I want to say Afro-American, but they're actually from Australia. This kid, there was one kid in the group, maybe, I don't know, 12 years old or something it must have been. If even, maybe a little bit younger even. And he made it a game of splashing everyone. So at a certain point he actually fell off and he was like a little bit overwhelmed by the water, and well, our boat rescued him and he stayed at our boat until the other one came close, and then got back on his boat in the afternoon. At the point where we jumped in the water, there were multiple people jumping in the water. So that's also when the little guy jumped over. I think he did not fall. He jumped voluntarily. Yeah, this guy, he really enjoyed splashing people. That's, I think, his most fun part of the day. And then there was this part a little bit afterwards. The guy from I think, was it a Brit or was it an Australian guy? I think it must have been a British guy. He told me at the moment we went to land at this part where with the little flood, the little stream where we were playing around. He told me the next part is my favorite part. So I thought, okay, we're gonna expect something good now. And there was this one patch that was quite some bit rougher than the rest of the trip, and we actually got stuck in a whirl. I think that's the word. I'm not sure. Like when the water turns, you know, and it's in the wilder parts of the river. Apparently, like almost every wave is accompanied by one of those things. So yeah, we were stuck in that one. That was actually a little bit scary. I think even the guy from the guy that our captain. I'm just gonna say our captain because I cannot describe his function otherwise. The one who gave us the commands. He was a little bit impressed because he was like, down now, you know. And everybody had, well, if they say down, you have to go kneel inside towards the center of the boat. And I think he pushed us out of then or something like that. One thing though happened also, and that's for me a little bit less. I suddenly felt my moods changed. I'm sometimes a little bit moody, and I am aware of it. But at this point, that was after this whirlpool had to be before. That was before, yeah. Before we took this break. But the whirl. But after we took this break where we were playing in the flood, this guy told me I'm not allowed to sit in the front anymore. We rotated, so I could sit in the front one time, then he could sit in the front. The reason apparently was that I did forget to paddle when there was a rougher patch, and I got scared, you know, which happened one time, I know. But after that, I picked myself up, so I was a little bit offended by that and felt also a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know, because I was the only non-Nepali speaking person in the boat, and they tended to speak about me even when I was there, which is, funny for a while, but after a while you feel left out. So the combination of those two things, and then just, I don't know, think maybe the emotion of it being one of my last days there, it got to me, and I did not speak one word after that. I just, Plus, if they don't talk to you and you get stuck in your brain and your thoughts, it gets boring when you're just floating on water and not doing that much. And then I just focused on the water and paddling when I had to paddle and nothing else, you know. They noticed because Sarosh and also his best friend Ajay, they both checked with me like, is everything okay? Is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I didn't really feel like talking about it in group, you know. So yeah, I did not even know what to say even, you know. I couldn't explain what made me change my mood. So yeah, but all things considered, it was a very fun trip. I enjoyed the rafting, but I expected more of it, like more danger, more risk, or wasn't all that afraid, which is not a problem, of course. You don't have to like fear for your life all the time, but it's just the expectations were higher, let's call it that. But it was really fun, so I cannot complain, and it was worth the money I paid for it, I guess. Then we arrived at the camp, the camp of this organization with which we we went. That was cool though. They had this tent system where they had sleeping bags underneath, and it was like, I don't know, like a trekking camp or something. We got tea and cookies there and some water, and then we left back to the streets. We had to walk through over a little goat path, I want to say, because a single track dirt road, let's say, towards a hanging bridge to cross the river again, because the street was of course on the other side of the river, where there was a bus waiting for us. But of course, because we did not come by bus in the morning, but by moped, and the guys of the organization also took different transportation, they only had like half the seating of the ones needed for our size of group. So the bus left, and then we kind of lifted, which is also a cool thing to do. And I was actually like the main attraction, because they were like, okay, you come stand here, and then you try. And of course, because I helped them with lifting, I guess 6 Nepali guys or something, plus me, must have been something like that. I am the one they're gonna look at, of course, if you're lifting for a car. Only girl plus skin color, you know. I stand out of the crowd there. And there was like, I really wanted to take that one, but unfortunately we couldn't. There was this truck with an open backside where like you could transport goods in that, but there was also one guy standing in there or something. Would have been so cool to drive in the back of a truck. I never did that, and I really want to do that, but they didn't stop. So the next best thing came was a tourist bus. Apparently it says in the front tourists only, but I think it was a regular transportation, because regular like public transport, because I was the only one who was a tourist in the entire bus. The rest of the people were Nepali people, and it was crowded like sardines in a can, as we know it from Nepali transport by now. So this one stopped right away when they saw us, and they pushed people in, and go back to the back, and where there actually was a bit of space, but nobody moved like 1 centimeter, so we just pushed ourselves in, 5 people or something. No, only the 4 of us, me and the 3 guys with whom I came, and I think the other ones were gonna try for a different transportation or something, I don't know. So we were on the bus. Oh my god, this bus. They had standard plastic bags for people who had to throw up. They drive pretty fast in this thing. People were hanging outside of the bus, you know, a few people in the door. There was not even a door, so it was just a step with a handle next to it, and people were hanging there. And there was this guy, his foot was broken, and he really looked bad, and he was sick, and he had to throw up a few times. And then his mom started scolding at him because he had to throw up. He was sick. They were going to Kathmandu, which was, I think, from that point maybe 100 kilometers or something, and they were already on the bus when we got on it. They were going by this bus to Kathmandu to have him get medically checked, you know. This poor guy. Oh, yeah. So that happened. It was actually a relatively fun drive, but I was very glad that it was over because my stomach actually supported it really, really good. I was surprised by that since I tend to be car sick easily. For some reason, I never have this problem when I'm in this kind of transportation. I only have this problem when I'm in a normal car and sitting in rest. I guess my body signals are messed up, you know, like my balance center and my senses don't have the same expectation from a car as it has from in a bus like that. Yeah, so that took a little bit too long, which made me realize how far we've gone in not that much time, you know. Down a river, apparently you go fast in a raft. This brought us back to the restaurant. I used the restrooms one more time, and then we went back on the moped thing, of which I'm gonna tell in a second because I have to use the restroom. Be right back.